Hello everyone and welcome back to TowerGate. It is TowerGate day number 689, 689, February 10th, 2019, Sunday. Thank you so much for tuning in. Well, I just want to remind you that tomorrow we will be announcing the Dumbass of the Week. So on today's video, Sunday's video, I'll be make sure and leave your comments for who you want to nominate for Dumbass of the Week, and I'll be reviewing the comments section to take a look and see who you all think should be Dumbass of the Week, and I'll be announcing that on Monday evening. It's going to be very, very difficult, or Monday morning, I should say. It's going to be very difficult, I know, this week. Last week was pretty much a slam dunk, but this week, some very stiff competition for Dumbass of the Week. So I'll be eagerly awaiting your comments and your votes for who should be Dumbass of the Week, which we'll be announcing on Monday's video. So make sure you leave your comments in today's video in the comments section for Dumbass of the Week. Well, it looks like Chief Spreading Bull, otherwise known as Elizabeth Warren, has formally announced that she's going to be a candidate for president, running for that Democratic nomination. Now, I personally think of all the candidates who've announced so far, she is one of the weakest in the field, not just because of the using this false narrative about her Native American ancestry and the whole freak show that's been, but I just don't think she's all that politically viable, really. She's an old, rich, white lady. She's not that good of a speaker. And she is out there talking about how she's opposed to the big banks and the big corporations and the big money and all that. Well, you know what? In the Democratic Party, that's where the money is. If you want to win the Democratic nomination, you have to first prove that you can raise a lot of money. And the people you raise that money from is the very people that she says that she won't have anything to do with. So from the very get-go, she's on the money side, she has no hope. And there's what, 20, 25, 30 maybe Democrats running? I predict, and it's just a guess, I predict that once the primaries or caucuses begin for the Democrats, I predict that she'll be one of the very first out. Probably in the second, third, probably no more than the fourth primary she'll be done. It'll be having to do with lack of money, also lack of message, and all the other problems that she's got. I just don't think she's that solid of a candidate, and we'll find out. But I wouldn't bank a penny on her. I think she's yesterday's news. But what's funny is she gave a speech at her announcement. And as she's giving her speech, she's talking about she wants to bring back jobs and rebuild the middle class. She uses the line that the middle class is under attack. And she's going through all this stuff, and I'm thinking, my God, is this woman nuts? I mean, it is Trump who is bringing back the middle class. It is Trump who has restored the economy. And look at the record low unemployment. And all across all the categories, women, whites, Hispanics, blacks, it doesn't matter who you are, Trump's economy, his economic plan is working for everyone. And so she's out there saying we need to bring back the middle class. Well, it was her party that was for the high taxes, the regulation, the anti-business policies, and it was one of her mentors, Slick Willie, and the Rotten Reverend, their administration, along with the previous Bush administration that gave, and the post-Bush administration, both Bushes, 41 and 43, and also Clinton sandwiched in between, that gave us all those horrible trade deals, which is what destroyed the middle class and the blue-collar worker to begin with. It was all of their policies that destroyed the middle class. They were the ones who attacked the middle class. It's Trump who's rescued them, who is saving them. These people are just completely clueless. It's maddening almost. It's infuriating to watch. And when you see these thousands of people out there watching her give the speech and cheering all this on, these people can only be numb in the brain. They're just not that well informed. They're fairly ignorant to sit there and swallow this garbage. And it's frustrating. Chief Spreading Bull. She won't be around for long, trust me. Well, there's talk that the border wall deal may be coming about. It's a maybe, but I'm hearing this thing being floated that they're only going to offer $2.8 billion for the border security wall, or fence, or whatever you want to call it. Now, the border security was asked, what do you need in terms of certain areas along the border? And they identified 10 areas where they need physical borders of some kind, a physical barrier, a wall, a fence, a gate. We'd call it what you want. And they've said that, and they've looked at the cost of that, and they've analyzed it, and they believe it will be about $5.7 billion. That's what they've requested, and that's what Trump wants. Now, if they come to him with a figure of $2.8 billion, if I was Trump, I'd walk away from the deal. $5.7 billion is the number, and I certainly hope the Republicans don't cave and go for a lowball number like 2.8. It's not even close. It's about half. It's not going to work. So I certainly hope the Republicans and Trump stand firm on this, because they've won this fight. Since the State of the Union, Trump has gone up by 7 points. He's sitting at around 49% right now. Pelosi, on the other hand, dropped to 28%, and she's still bottomed out at 28%. They've won this fight. We saw in the poll after the State of the Union that 72% of the people believe and agree with Trump's border wall policy. They've won this issue. I certainly hope that the weak-kneed Republicans do not snatch defeat from the jaws of victory in this particular case and spit the bit. I hope they stay strong and stay for the 5.7. Force the Democrats to totally capitulate. They will. They can't afford not to. They've lost, and they know it. If you're a winner, act like it. When you win, be smart enough to know you've won, and then go for the jugular. Matt Gaetz has introduced a bill called Justice for All. I don't think it's a bill yet. He's hoping it will become a bill. I don't know if it'll get a vote on the floor or not, but it's called the Justice for All Act, and it calls for giving equal punishment to those who have lied or will lie to Congress. And this would affect people, obviously, like Clapper, Comey, Clinton, Brennan, certainly Glenn Simpson, Peter's been stroking us, Loose Lisa Page. A lot of liars. A lot of liars. Many, many liars. And they all need the same equal punishment, same equal justice under the law who some other people are getting for lying to Congress. Let's certainly hope that Matt Gaetz' bill does get to the floor and gets a vote and passes. If it passes in the House, I'm sure it will pass the Senate. The President will definitely sign it. And maybe we can force these other people who have lied to Congress to face equal justice under the law. Trump's sending out some pretty cool tweets. Of course, he's saying that it would be great for Democrats to press forward with the new Green Deal. Yes, it would. It's a suicide pact, really. But the Dems are in a tough position because if they oppose it, they'll get on the wrong side of the activist wing of their base. If they side with it, which quite a few of the the Democratic nominees right now are the ones running for president, quite a few of them have already come out and supported it for that very reason. They're terrified not to. But ultimately, when it comes time for the general election, Trump's going to use that against them like a hammer. But I guess they figure they'll cross that bridge when they get to it. We have over 200 Democrats have now signed on to a proposal for a 65% tax for high-income earners. 65% tax for high-income earners. That's stupid. It will never get through the Senate, and Trump would veto it in a heartbeat. It'll probably be attached onto some other bills that they do want, like the infrastructure bill or something else, and that will kill it. No, they're not going to go along with the 65% tax on high-income earners. That's ridiculous. Just take a look at New York and California. Wealthy people are fleeing those two states because of these high taxes on people in their income bracket. It's stupid, and it's not fair. The Rotten Reverend Clinton, of course, had to chime in on the border crisis, and she's saying that there is no border crisis, that he's making it all up, despite the fact that arrests on the border are up over 290%, and that there are 3 caravans on the way, and that we're expecting to have anywhere between 10 and 12 million illegals attempt to cross our border in the next 12 months. She doesn't think that's a crisis, because she believes most of them will come in here and vote Democrat, legally or not. That's how they roll. So now we have Ocasio, Marty Feldman-Cortez saying that the Green New Deal document that was up on her website was a fraud. She's lying. How do we know she's lying? because as soon as she put it up there, a bunch of people archived it. And since they've gone back and they've looked at the metadata, and it's right there in the metadata, I have looked at it myself, and it clearly shows who created the document, when they created the document, and when they uploaded the document. The document was created in a PDF file by her chief of staff. It was posted to her website. The metadata reveals all of this info. And again, it was archived by many people, Jack Posobiec, Tim Pool, various other people. Will show it to you if you go look at their one of their videos that they've put up in the last 24 hours. They'll show you the page of the metadata, and you can read it for yourself. So Ocasio-Cortez is lying. They put this thing up there, the Communist Manifesto, otherwise known as the Green New Deal. And once it was up there for about 2 hours, and they realized that people were literally laughing themselves to death reading it from all the ridiculous stuff that's in it, they were forced to take it down due to just from pure embarrassment. Because essentially what it was a communist manifesto. It really wasn't even any type of a solid deal for how to reduce environmental effects or carbon fuels or anything. It wasn't anything really scientific or comprehensive relating to, some sort of a plan to reduce emissions. It was really just a manifesto for communism. It's a communist manifesto described and named or characterized as a Green New Deal. And it became obvious exactly what that document was, and that's why they had to pull it down. It was not a fraud. It was her chief of staff, her plan. They put it up. It looked real bad, and they had to pull it down. That's the truth. Trump's approval, as I said earlier, is up 7% since the State of the Union address. He's sitting at 49. Pretty much that's an aggregate. There's a couple polls that are having a little higher, but we can assume he's right around 49%. Way higher than Obama was at this time in his presidency. Or Clinton, by the way. Well, Dan Bongino has been doing some really good work. When he wrote his book, he did a lot of... because there for a while, he was kind of behind the curve, and I was having to email him and give him all sorts of information with things he was not exactly up on. But I think when he did his research for his book, he really got down and got a lot of the details and did a pretty good job on his book. And he's doing a really good job the past 6 months or so. Bongino's been on his game. So he pointed out something which I think is very, very good. And I'm not sure where he got it, if he discovered it, or if he got it from Jeff Carlson, or who he got it from. But I want to point out something that he points out that's, once again, more evidence showing that the Trump Tower meeting was literally a setup put together by, most likely, the rotten Reverend Clinton. So try to follow along with me. This is not too complicated, but it's a little tougher when someone's just telling it to you. It's a little easier if you had some graphics. But anyway, let me just go ahead and try to explain this for you. So Dan Bongino has added another nail to the coffin in the Trump Tower meeting that was being set up, likely by Crooked Hillary and Confusion GPS. So, of course, we all know that Vetselnitskaya, this Russian lawyer who had been barred from entering the U.S., was given special permission to enter the U.S. in June of 2016. That came through the office of Preet Bharara at the New York office. And that was likely directed by Loretta Lynch or someone in D.C. Now, she entered the country, and we assume that the reason was because she was the lawyer representing this Russian client in regard to the Magnitsky Act. But while she was here, let's keep in mind, it was only 2 days after she arrived here, she was in the Trump Tower meeting. But she also had a front row seat to these congressional hearings where they were talking about the Magnitsky Act. Then she shows up in John McCain's office, Senator Magoo, and we know that because she snapped a couple photos of from inside Magoo's office and posted them on her Twitter account or Facebook. So we know that the night before the Trump Tower meeting, Vetselnitskaya had dinner with Glenn Simpson. Also, she had dinner the following night after the Trump Tower meeting with Glenn Simpson, and it appears that Rinat Akhmetshin was in at least one, if not both, of those meetings. Now, the newest revelation that we're talking about now is from an exchange between Rinat Akhmetshin and the congressional investigators from the hearings that took place in the summer of 2017. So listen to this little Q&A with someone, and I think it may have been Mark Meadows would have been the questioner. Either Meadows or Jordan would have been the questioner, and listen to Akhmetshin's answer. So the question and what they're talking about, this exchange, their conversation they're having, is they're talking about they're talking to Akhmetshin about the conversation that was going on in the Trump Tower meeting between Akhmetshin, and Trump Jr. and Kushner. And specifically Trump Jr. in this particular question. And so Meadows or Jordan, one of the two, asked Akhmetshin, was there any discussion of helping at a later time? And what they're talking about is the Magnitsky Act. Because we know that in the Trump Tower meeting that Veselnitskaya got there, and all she really wanted to talk about was the Magnitsky Act, and then this, of course, this adoption issue. And so Trump Jr. is explaining to Akhmetshin that, well, you know, you're talking about policy issue. Keep in mind, we're not in power in the government. We're running to win, and we expect to win. But we haven't won. We're just running for office. So if you're trying to lobby someone on the Magnitsky Act or on Russian adoptions or what have you, you're talking to the wrong people, because we're not in charge of anything. We're running a presidential campaign. Your issue, if you want to talk about policy, current policy on the Magnitsky Act, you need to be talking to the current administration. So this is the conversation that's happening. So Akhmetshin is then asked, were there any discussions of helping at a later time? Meaning, once you know, if you were to win the presidency, then yeah, we would like to talk to you about this. Because this is what Trump Jr. is telling Akhmetshin. You're talking about this policy stuff, but we don't have anything to do with the policy right now. We're not in power. But Akhmetshin, when he's asked this question, was there any discussion of helping at a later time? He responds by saying the following. Listen closely. Akhmetshin says, I don't remember the exact words that were said, but I remember at the end, Don Jr. said, you know, come back and see us again when we win. Not if we win, when we win. And I thought to myself, like, yeah, right. What did Akhmetshin just do when he answered that question? He's saying that Trump Jr. told him, yeah, this Magnitsky Act, this all sounds, well and good, but you're talking about policy. We're not in control of anything. You need to talk to someone who can actually affect policy now. That would be the current administration. But, so hey, come back and talk to us after we win, and maybe we can do something. At which point Akhmetshin says, and he's telling you what he's thinking inside his head. He says, well, okay, but in his mind he's thinking, yeah, right. Meaning, yeah, right, you're actually going to win. In other words, Akhmetshin did not believe that Trump had a chance of a snowball in hell of winning the election and changing this policy. So, if in fact Akhmetshin did not believe that Trump had any chance of winning, then why was he in a meeting trying to discuss changing this policy with someone who is A, not running the government and would have no ability to change the policy, and B, in his mind, has no chance of winning the presidency and then being in some position where they could change or discuss the policy? He's there talking about a policy with Donald Trump Jr., knowing good and well Trump Jr. or anyone in Trump world can do anything about. And in his own words, he says that he doesn't believe that Trump has a chance of a snowball in hell of winning. So why is he there trying to talk about this policy when the person he's talking to has no ability to change the policy or affect the policy, and in his mind will have no ability to affect or change the policy, because in his mind they have no chance of winning? So why were they there? I think we all know why they were there. Just to have the meeting. The only purpose of the meeting was to have the meeting. They knew, and believed, Ahmadinejad knew or believed at that time, he knew for a fact that they had no ability to affect or change the policy, and he believed that they would not have any ability to change or affect the policy because he believed they had no chance of winning the election. So why was he there? That's a gotcha right there. That's a gotcha. More evidence. More evidence. Beto O'Rourke, Robert O'Rourke, it looks like he is going to try to, he's going to have a counter rally to counter Trump's rally on Monday night at the border in El Paso. This is a publicity stunt which is not going to work out for Robert. He's going to look like an idiot. Trump's going to suck up all the oxygen in the room. He's going to get he's got the bully pulpit. He'll have all the people watching, and Beto will simply look stupid. I mean, there's no other way to look at it. I mean, he doesn't command the audience or the attention that Trump does. And we already know that the jury is already in on the issue. They already told us the night after the State of the Union, the overwhelming majority of people believe there is a problem at the border. Beto is going to try to go down there and prove that there's not. He's going to look stupid. It's a publicity stunt, and it's not going to work. He's a real piece of work. He really is, and I don't give him any chance at all. Again, I'm sure he'll throw his hat in the ring, but I just don't think that. I don't think he'll go very far either. Looks like the Uncle Bob the Executioner's team is asking the judge to slap a gag order on Roger Stone, and of course Stone is fighting back. Yeah, Stone's got a real bad deal there because he drew a really, really bad lawyer, and that was no accident either. Mueller knew exactly what judge he wanted, and he made sure that Stone got this lawyer because he attached some of the issues with Stone to another target of his investigation to make sure that he could lock in the judge that he wanted. So he made sure that Stone got a judge that he knew would be really unfavorable to Stone. And so that's going to be a tough dig. But you got to give Stone credit. He's given it hell. Okay, more information on more follow-up information, more evidence that people are likely going to jail over the Carter Page FISA application. We've talked a lot on this channel, and I'm sure many other channels you guys watch. You've read a lot about it, heard people talk about it, and you know the process you have to go through to get a FISA warrant. And of course, we're finding out that none of those things were followed, that the FISA court was lied to, exculpatory information was withheld, all sorts of things, super corrupt things about the FISA on Carter Page were done. And here is more evidence. This comes to us from Jeff Carlson at the Epoch Times. Here it is. Trish Andersen, who of course was the principal deputy and general counsel for the FBI, she admitted to signing off on the Carter Page FISA warrant without reading it. Her office was responsible for the legal oversight of the FISA and signing off on it before sending it to Comey for his signature. She admitted, Trish Andersen admitted in closed-door hearing that she was responsible and that she was the last check in the process to ensure that the application itself met the requirements to get the FISA. But she said that she read a cover note. She did not read the entire FISA or the FISA application itself. What she says she read was what's called a cover note, which is something that is prepared for her by her underlings who are supposedly have read it, and they read through it, and they prepare for her this cover note, and she says there was 2 items on it. She read the cover note and signed off on it. But she is obligated and responsible for making sure that the information in the FISA application is true before she signs on it. She did not. she is now basically blaming the FBI. And she does that by going through a fairly lengthy explanation of what she calls the process of all the various people. It goes up and down the chain between the FBI and the DOJ, from their agents to the lawyers, back down to the agents, back over to the DOJ, their agents, their lawyers, back and down, then they kick it back to the FBI. She describes this lengthy process, complicated process, whereby all these people have to do all these checks on it and everything like that. Apparently, none of it was done. And that's how she's trying to get out of it. She's trying to say that it was other people, that she was relying on other people, even though it's her name on the dotted line. She is the one responsible. She's trying to put it off on, she's trying to get out of this doing two things, putting it off on other individuals and also blaming the process, which is typical of government bureaucrats. She says that her boss and her boss's boss had reviewed the application and approved it. The AG, Rosenstein, had already signed off on it. So she said that she didn't think she needed to second guess. She said that McCabe reviewed it line by line. So she's saying, well, my two bosses, McCabe and Rosenstein, signed off on it. That was good enough for me. But the thing is, she's the legal party responsible for signing on the dotted line as well. So all of these individuals are culpable here. Rosenstein, McCabe, and Andersen all were obligated to review the FISA application, and they put their name on the line that everything there was true. Andersen also says that James Baker, the general counsel, had also reviewed it and made some personal edits. However, Baker told Congress in his interview with the congressional investigators that he only read a small portion of it and did not review the Woods procedure file, which would have provided the documentation for the accuracy of the facts in the FISA application. Baker said he was relying on briefings from his staff. Again, doing the same thing that Trish Andersen is doing, saying, well, it's people below me who are supposed to do the real legwork, and then I just do the sign off. They're both blaming the people under them and the bureaucracy in the process to avoid responsibility for their crime. They're all liable. Baker, let me see where I left off here. Oh, yeah. So Baker says he only read a small portion of the application and did not review the Woods procedure file, which would have provided the documentation for the accuracy of the facts in the FISA application. Baker says he was relying on briefings from his staff that would have been Trish Andersen. Trish Andersen is who he was relying on, and her group. Baker also says that he had not been made aware of the role of the Orrs in the process. He did not know about Bruce and Nellie. Andersen says that the director, the FBI director, and the assistant or deputy FBI director see as many as 20 FISAs a day, and they don't always have time for deep review. And the director only allows and sets aside about 20 minutes or so per day to review FISAs. So she's basically saying, well, I was relying on so-and-so, these individuals, but we have this process. Baker is also saying, well, I was relying on these individuals, but we have this process. So they're going to try to get off the hook by blaming other people and also blaming the bureaucracy in the process. Oh, we didn't make the mistake. We didn't do anything wrong. It's just the process. No, the process is there. It's very clear, and they didn't follow it. That's the truth. They're all criminally liable, and they all should, if Mr. Barr believes in equal justice under the law, they all should be going to jail for their crimes. And there's a whole list of them. I just named some of them. Well, the Yellow Vest protests are really getting ugly now. The police tactics are now getting very ugly as we are in the 13th week, and they're now using very hard force. Watched a video a little earlier of the Yellow Vester getting his hand blown off with a smoke grenade. It's pretty gory. Some of you have probably seen it. It's not the first one of those videos I've seen. I just saw one about a month ago of a Yellow Vest protester picking up one of those grenades. You know, I don't know why them people do that. They throw the grenade. You don't pick the damn thing up and try to whip it back at them. You pick it up and it goes off in your hand. You're going to lose your hand, which is exactly what happened to this dude and the guy a couple of weeks ago. Not a very wise move to pick up a grenade. Okay, Los Angeles City Council has now declared Los Angeles, which is now suffering from typhoid because of the filthy conditions in the city. They have now declared Los Angeles a sanctuary city. Wow, that's going to be a big sanctuary city. So now Los Angeles, it's not bad enough that Portland and San Francisco and many of these other cities have been completely destroyed because they're sanctuary cities. We now have Los Angeles declaring that they too are a sanctuary city. That's a big city, and that's a big sanctuary, and that's a lot of problems. That's a lot of problems. Of course, we talked a little bit about the Matt Whitaker testimony yesterday. And I think probably the one that got by all of us that I stumbled on earlier this morning was a comment. This is a very quick comment, and I think it's why it went by most people. It didn't seem to get a lot of fanfare in the gallery at the time, but now that you think about it, and in hindsight, it has some implications. Matt Whitaker was asked by somebody on the panel, I think a Democrat, female Democrat. She asked him if he was aware of any pardons relating to certain individuals, and we can assume that they're talking about the Mueller probe or maybe the Clinton investigation. I'm not sure. She didn't specifically state, and the video doesn't show what they were talking about before that, but I assume they're talking about the Mueller probe or some FBI investigation that's going on currently. And she asked Whitaker if he was aware of any pardons relating to certain individuals, and he said yes, that he was aware of pardons for certain individuals. He is aware of pardons. I wonder what that means. Now we know there were pardons given to a bunch of people in the Hillary Clinton email investigation. Don't know about the Mueller investigation. I assume Rick Gates got, well, no, he's probably not. He's going to be sentenced. So we're not sure who may have received pardons. Some people suggest that Tony Podesta may have gotten a pardon, but it's hard to say. We know quite a few people got pardons in the Hillary Clinton email investigation. Not so sure about the Mueller investigation, but I think obviously at some point we are going to find out who may have gotten pardons in that investigation. And if it's some of the people we think it is, there's going to be a big problem with that. Trump says that all the troops are coming home from Syria in 60 days. 60 days. He gave the military about a month ago. He said, "You got 90 days." What, you tell me? Because he wanted to bring the troops home. They said, no, there's still some Al-Qaeda, some ISIS left there. He said, how many? They said, probably 1%. He said, good. How long will it take you to take care of them? And he made them give him a solid, time. And he said, I'll give you 90 days. You got 90 days to get rid of the last 1% because our troops are coming home. That was about a month ago. So in 60 days, he's bringing the troops back from Syria. Well done. And just a quick update on the situation in Virginia. It appears that this coming week we're going to hear about 3 more rape allegations against Lieutenant Governor Fairfax, and Governor Northam is now going back and reading Roots. He's going back and reading Roots. He should just watch the miniseries. So that's how things are going there. And probably the biggest thing that's popped up in the last 24 hours that's raising a lot of eyebrows is that there's talk and rumors that the Democrats are going to try to eliminate Ocasio-Marty Feldman-Cortez's district in 2020. That's exactly what they did to Dennis Kucinich. They tried to defeat him with corporate candidates on 2 or 3 occasions in elections. They couldn't do it, so they just wiped out his voting district. And it looks like they don't think they can beat Cortez in a straight-up battle, so they're just going to eliminate her voting district. That's how they're going to get rid of her. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's get your votes for Dumbass of the Week. See ya. Bye.